You can't grow your business if nobody knows you're there. That's why your content marketing is so important to your business. It answers that question for your potential customers. What's in it for me? Now, you may think you know what content marketing is, but in today's conversation, you're really going to understand what content marketing is and how important it is. Because today I have with me my good friend, Barbara Mannino. She's a content writer and strategist. I have to say, she is amazing. Welcome, Barbara. I want to start out with content marketing. Can you just give us a short introduction of, well, what is it and what isn't it?
Well, first of all, Christine, it's great to be here. I'm very happy to be here. And you're asking me a question that I'd love to answer because I actually love to talk about content. There is oftentimes among people in general a misconception as to what content marketing is. They think, well, it's content. It's creating words, writing them, talking them, videoing them, and they're done. But there's much more to the story than the act of doing, because content marketing is a process and content the vehicle that communicates who you are as a business, what your brand is, what you're all about. You know what Simon Sinek would call the why. And that relates intrinsically to your customer, your ideal customer, and their wants and their needs and their concern to understand when they read your stuff, what's in it for me. So you have to not only inform, but you have to draw them in by creating emotion. And that's tricky. Your content is a mixture of straight on education and information, and also the wonderful world of story, because it's in story that we have people understand our brands, know who we are, and feel and come to know, like, and trust that you, as the provider, can help them solve their problems and lead them to a better world for themselves.
Mm. You mentioned emotion. That is so vital. I know when I am reading something, if now I'm a black and white person, and I've always like written that way, but I'm learning. I'm learning from you, Barbara, the importance of infusing emotion because I start thinking, well, okay, if I was reading this, or listening to a video, because really content comes in many different forms, right? We're not just talking, a blog article or what, there's a lot, but the emotion and infusing that into, I mean, like, I'm business to business. I'm about productivity. I'm like, how do I get emotion into that? But I realize that it is so important. It just changes how you're taking it in. Can you speak a little bit more about that aspect of for somebody like me, business to business, productivity, get it done. So what kind of emotions should
So, so first, that's a great question because emotion is essential. And some people may question that and think, oh, emotion, this is business, it's just business. But in my world, it's more than just business. And in the content marketing world, it's emotion that matters. So, what do I mean by that? It involves being able not only to describe what you do, but how you can solve your prospects and customers' problems, not only transactionally, but in a way that gets them to a place that they feel it inside, that they feel better, and that they feel so much better that they can envision a better world for themselves.
Mhm.
So, for example, if I were a landscaper and somebody said, "What do you do?" a very transactional statement would be, I come to your house and I plant flowers and install some pavers so you have a finished, good looking yard. But if I wanted to inject emotion into that, I would say, I'm a landscaper and I listen to the vision you have for your outdoor space, and I design it and I install it to your wishes, and you're left with a yard that when you come home at night, it wraps its arms around you. And when people drive up to your house or drive past it, they say, ah. So you see, there's a higher outcome. It's an
Mm.
outcome that satisfies a person internally, not just transactionally and externally. And there is a total difference between the first statement, though shorter, and the second statement, though longer. It had a higher pitch. It should have resonated more because it fulfilled a desire that they already had, to feel good in their outdoor space, or to be the envy of the neighborhood, or the beauty spot when people drive up to visit.
Yes, as you were talking and relating. Yes, I was envisioning. I mean, like, oh, yes, I can see that versus, just I can install this and I can install this. But yes, it made such a difference. And to think that, that's a landscaper that could be putting that out there. It's, yeah, for anybody. Now, you mentioned story also. So would you say that how that was related in the second manner is story?
Well, that's one aspect of a story. So I want to step back for a moment and say that when you have a business, you really have to have a brand. That is the hub, that's your anchor, that's the DNA. And everything that you write, say, and do must be tethered to that brand.
Mhm.
So, story number one is what I call story major, and that is your brand story. That's a little bit of what I described before about the why of your business. What's your purpose? What problem did you see in the world that you wanted to solve?
Mhm.
And you have the solution to solve that problem, and you're promising people that your service delivery will solve that problem and get them to a better place.
Mhm.
So that's major story. Then there's message, which is a boiled down version of that. So it's a story arc, problem, solution, what life will look like when they use your services. And there are minor stories, which, don't let the name minor fool you, because they're very important. Those are the customer wins, the customer who was overly inspired or exuberant about something that you did. If you have employees, an employee who triumphed over an obstacle while carrying out the values of your firm. So story plays in many different ways. And make no mistake, it is a very important part of content. It is the magnet that attracts people and makes them want, absolutely covet, using your products and services.
So it sounds to me like story overall is whatever is being said or read or anything. if somebody was painting a picture, they'd know exactly what to be painting. Is that kind of like
Well, that's somewhat interesting, and yes, and um, the interesting thing about story in brand and in content marketing is that it zeroes in on what your customer or your client already wants.
Mhm,
So they have a desire, back to the landscaping example, a beautiful outdoor space. And in their head, they have a vision of what that space may look like. But they're incapable because they don't have that expertise, which is fine, of doing that on their own. So along come you, the landscaper, and
mhm,
you're the expert. You have the skill set. You also have the vision. And when you listen to what they want, you can show them how you can bring that to life for them, how you can bring them the outcome that they were already visualizing. Because you're dealing with a desire that people already have, it's less sales and it's just
mm,
extending a hand and gently guiding them to a place or an outcome or the result, a place where they want to be or an outcome or result that they want to have.
mm. Oh, I like that, guiding them to the desire that they've already got. So true. We all try to just, put it out there. I can do this for you. I can help you with that and everything. And it's like, it's not getting to where they're really at. So I so appreciate that. Um,
That's so important, something that you just said now, that we're all so committed to getting it out there, proving, I call it proving, that we're good enough to do the job for them, sell them our product, or provide them our service. And at first, when they go onto your website or they listen to you speak or they see your video or they read your blog or whatever, they don't give two hoots about all your credentials. All that they really want to know first and foremost is what's in it for me. That
mm,
is the number one customer question. And therein lies your hook. Because if you show them in your opener, whatever medium you're using, that you have a solution to their problem, you are the key to fulfilling their hopes and dreams. You've hooked them already. And as the interaction unfolds, yes, then you can share those proof points of your expertise. But that is not at all how you should be starting.
mm, yeah. So we've got okay, so we need the brand. We need the message and like you say, then comes in the content and there's all, story within everything. So we're getting the gist of the pieces that we need and everything, but what's a good approach to be writing good content, to creating videos that hit the emotions, that include story? Now, I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I'm always like, I'll study what everybody else is doing and I'll repeat everything. But I want to share with our audience the aha that I had working with Barbara last year of helping me to write I was holding a 3-day event and I needed a landing page written. My coach at the time had looked what I had and it's like, no, that's not going to work. Not going to work. And I decided to invest in Barbara. I was so amazed at the process. I so appreciated your questions. I'm a big questioner myself with my clients and everything that I do. And having you ask those questions that I didn't even think of helped me not just with that landing page or a 3-day event, it helped beyond that. So Barbara, what does someone do if, they say, "I really need to, get this right," to at least get something basic going, maybe they can't invest in having someone like you help them. Um, is it just enough to, have someone that they relate to ask them questions? What kind of recommendations do you have to instead of somebody just sitting in front of their computer trying to do it themselves? And
So, two key words that I live by: dig deep. um, it is so important to really go deep to understand your gifts. Now, whatever form that takes when you do it yourself, maybe it's free form writing in a journal, maybe it's asking yourself, what's the best thing I did today? And how does that align with my values in life or in business? Um, it's that introspection. If just as when you and I had that great intake session, and thank you very much for your kind words, I asked a lot of questions.
Mhm,
So essentially, you have to be strict with yourself and ask a lot of questions. What do I want to achieve in my business? How do I best serve, not sell, but serve my customers? Because that's the whole process. And keep asking yourself every time you make a statement, and what does that mean? And what does that mean? And with each of those questions to yourself, you go a little deeper till you really find what's in your heart and your head. But at the end of the day, it's really the heart that, back to the emotions, governs so much, not only of what we do, but the connections that we're able to form with people.
mm, that's wonderful, and our listeners need to remember too that all of this takes time.
Oh,
So, if you expect to put something out there next week, you should have been working on it for the last few months probably, correct?
you make me laugh. My dear friend Paula once said to me, and we had a good chuckle at this over lunch. She said, I know that people think because you're a writer that you go into your office and you close the door and you dim the lights and you put on a bubble machine and bubbles flow in the air and soft music is playing and there's even a fragrant candle. But that's not what it's about. It's about a lot of hard work. And by the way, that digging deep is kind of an evolutionary process. You know, today you may be at one place and your business may be at one place, but as you go out and live life and as you go out and do your business, there's growth. So things organically happen and we evolve and change. So you have to keep checking in with yourself. Where am I today? And believe me, it's hard work. Being that honest with yourself is hard work.
Mhm,
And then being able to translate that into something that's cohesive and that makes sense and can accurately and precisely and emotionally articulate who you are. And then to even have to put it in a drawer and sleep on it overnight and look at it again the next morning and tweak it and massage it so that it can be the best it can be at that particular moment.
mm.
It's a lot of work, there's no question. For my money, it's the most rewarding. I love what I do, but it is a lot of hard work. No bubbles, no candlelight, no soft music. It's work.
Oh, this has been wonderful, Barbara. Thank you for all of this that you've shared with us today. If people want to know more, is there a special offer you'd like to make to them today? What do you have?
So if you are to write to chatwithbarb.com, it is a place where you can receive a PDF that will speak about these issues of winning the hearts and minds of your customers through story and other emotional ways that form these connections that turn prospects into customers and customers into loyal and raving fans.
Oh, thank you for that, Barbara. I do have one last question, and I know we didn't talk about this one before we got started here. But, if you think to the all the years that you've had your business, we're all about something that made it click. So if you think back, is there something that you learned, maybe it's a piece of technology that you discovered. I know technology is not your thing, but maybe there was some tool that you're so grateful to have, but, maybe it's just something that you learned, a light bulb moment that you can say, "This was what made it click for me in my business."
So it's going to be a light bulb moment, and it's going to be learning to be fearless. My friend Jeannie gave me these bracelets that represent what she thinks about me, and fearless is one of them. And I'm so honored. It doesn't mean that I'm going to climb Mount Everest or jump out of a plane. I can assure, or go to space. Somebody was talking about going to space this morning at a meeting I was at. I'll do none of those things. But I am fearless when it comes to matters of the heart, when it comes to setting goals for myself, when it comes to going out into a place that isn't always so comfortable, but just having the guts to do it. And when it comes to speaking out with the authority of believing in myself, no small voice. I remember a time in my life when I was a smaller voice person, when if I would get nervous, that voice would go up. It honestly doesn't happen anymore because I ascribe to this need and the excitement of being fearless and taking on challenges. It really makes work and life very, very worthwhile.
Oh, great message. Thank you for that. Be fearless. Thank you, Barbara, for being my guest today on Make It Click.
It was my pleasure, Christine, and it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for inviting me.